Hey, Margie here. It's December and the holidays are coming up. And with all the parties and excitement, for many people also comes digestive issues. But the good news is there's a lot that can be done. So I'm very excited about our special guest today who teaches us tips that we can easily put into our life to combat these problems. And our guest today is Elissa Arnheim, who's a certified holistic health coach and certified fermentationist, and she holds a master's of science in ecological planning. And what Elissa does is she helps people of all ages heal their digestion in life with science-backed strategies and simple choices. And in today's interview, Elissa shares some easy things we can all put into our life that can make such a big difference for our gut health and our bones and overall health as well. So lots of great information. Stay tuned. Welcome, Elissa. I'm so happy to be with you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Margie. It is so fun to be with you again. I always love our conversations.
I don't know, was it last year or 2 years ago? I haven't figured out when you came to my class. And you came to my class and did a program on how we can have a healthy gut through the holidays. And you gave so many helpful hints, and I got so many people just thanked me that this really helped them, that I thought, wouldn't that be wonderful for you to share this knowledge with the listeners? Because sometimes there's some easy things people can do to make such a big difference in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a time that we want to celebrate and relax and participate and partake of things. And, there are a lot of things that can cause problems in our gut, but this isn't the time to stop and say no. This is the time to enjoy and maybe add in a few things to make us feel a little better along with all of the celebrations, right?
Yeah. So before we get started, I just want to tell everyone there is another podcast that you did totally on constipation, which is really outstanding. But why not just quickly go into your backstory, how you got to be someone that really focuses on the gut and the work you do? You want to just share a little bit how you got there?
Yeah, of course. So I started my health coaching business. I had been working in hospitals and ecology out in the woods, actually. And I decided I want to start a health coaching business to help moms who knew they didn't want their kids to be picky eaters, but they just didn't know quite how to do it. And at the time, my little boy was about 1 year old, and so I started this business. It was going well, and then we found out that my son had cancer. He's doing so well. He's so healthy and happy and doing great now. And through that experience, right before we knew he was sick, I had started exploring gut health. And so then when we went through that year, I was so focused on finding all of the research, all of the support I possibly could to get him through that experience. And gut health really was the most important thing I could do for him. And then, of course, that connects with every system in our body. So it's not like we just were doing gut things. We were doing whole body, whole life supports to support his gut, to support his immune system, to support everything.
Yeah. And I think the listeners, we've had a lot of speakers talk about the gut, but the gut's so critical and it's really the first place that I think people need to address, because if you have an issue with your gut, you're not going to absorb your nutrients. And they've found, with dysbiosis and issues with gut bacteria, that also negatively affects the bone. So there's such a correlation, and it's so important. And no matter what you're doing, if you're missing this piece, you need to address it to really have healthy and, strong, healthy bones. It's just something you can't ignore. So it's just so important. Is there anything you want to share about that? How important this gut health piece is?
Oh, absolutely. When I say the gut is connected to all of our other systems, it really is foundational. If, like you were mentioning, if there's inflammation, we can't absorb nutrients. And then your bones, of course, are going to suffer if they're not getting the minerals and the nutrients they need. But also your brain needs lots of minerals and nutrients. There are different nutrients and vitamins involved in every enzymatic pathway that basically is like how everything happens in your body. And then, if you have a leaky gut, you end up with a bunch of junk that's not supposed to be in your body going everywhere and causing problems, just like troublemakers. And then also, if we're not able to eliminate every day, like that's the whole flow. We need to, we're bringing in the food to keep us moving and thinking and bright attitudes and happiness comes from a lot of different ways. Gut is really helpful for happiness. But then we need all of the waste to go out every single day, multiple times a day to keep everything running smoothly. Otherwise, when we get an accumulation of waste, we end up with an accumulation of waste-loving microbes, and they cause even more problems. Yeah, I could talk all day about the gut. We want to have really, really healthy, happy microbes, and we want to have a really nice terrain. That's my ecology history coming in. We want really nice, comfortable places for these healthy, happy microbes to live. And then we want to treat the whole system really, really well with the food we bring in.
So let's talk about what goes haywire, because it's right around the holidays now. They're coming up, and this is when so many people fall apart, or they've been doing okay, and then there were 5 parties, and then this is a time where really a lot of havoc happens with the gut, and that then translates into other issues. So we want to prevent this, and you have some great tips, but tell us what goes wrong first. Like, what do you see as the biggest problems that happen? I mean, it's a couple things. The holiday season, also people are traveling. So yeah.
So much happens. The traveling, different foods than normal, social environments where we kind of feel obligated to eat because we're polite guests, and we don't want to be in any trouble, or it's just so good. There's so many foods from my childhood that are not good for me now, I know. But if they're in front of me and there's a party, of course I want to eat them. And so I think, and then we eat a lot, and eating a lot kind of fouls up a lot of the systems in our body as well, especially in our gut, and things kind of shut down and don't work as well. We maybe are not getting as much sleep as we normally do with all the stress, and we need sleep because our microbes actually need rest also. And so they get signaled not only by our sleep, but also how much and when we're eating, and what is the light doing outside, and how are we feeling? So it's all super connected. And I think the first thing that is really important is to give ourselves a pass. Is to just be like, hey, it's the holidays. I am going to enjoy this rather than setting myself up for something that's kind of unattainable. Like, we all know ourselves. And I think really giving ourselves the freedom to enjoy what we really want to enjoy within limits. Well, no, not even within limits, because if you have been doing a lot of work to change your gut health or your eating habits, you've probably discovered what just feels better for you. And so you might already have some boundaries that you're not willing to cross, not because you're trying to be good, but because it just doesn't feel good. And so by being kind to yourself, you can actually eliminate a lot of the cortisol and stress. That cortisol is a stress hormone that can change your digestion and gut environment so drastically that just being okay with it could really support your digestion. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I mean, cortisol is the enemy for bone health. I mean, they've actually done studies showing that increased cortisol increases the cells that break down the bone and reduces the bone building cells. So it's really something that has a major effect on our bones. So yes.
Oh, yeah.
So besides having negative effects on the digestive system, it also is very much correlated with our bone health. Okay, so you are the queen of tips that really help. So given this attitude that we don't want to deprive ourselves, we want to still enjoy the holidays, but we can add things, and we can do some minor things that are going to give us the ability to do that. So why don't you start with your favorites?
Yeah. So what can we add in? One of my top favorites is fermented vegetables. And by eating fermented vegetables, we're actually bringing in the microbes that are immune supportive, that are actually healing our gut lining. So maybe we're eating some things that are upsetting our gut lining or causing some inflammation. However, we can eat fermented vegetables and bring in those microbes that are producing butyrate that is healing and sealing that gut wall. These microbes are calming to our whole system. They're sending our whole body the message, oh, we got this. We're doing our jobs. And we were talking about ferments earlier. There are a lot of fun holiday ferments. If you go into your grocery store and you don't eat a lot, you can just have like a little strand of sauerkraut with a meal or every day. Start small because you don't want to really disrupt the system you've already got. But also in the holidays, you'll find things like cranberries maybe mixed in with some ferments. Or if you're excited about making your own ferments, you can make some yourself at home. And I just brought out a few things. We have a homemade cranberry orange relish. You can get at the store raw fermented pickles. All of these things are just raw. You want to look for raw fermented on the outside of the package, live cultures, and these are found in the refrigerated section of your grocery store. Here's just a regular sauerkraut, and then here's some pretty ones that I made with a bunch of people.
That's beautiful. Do you teach this in your class?
I do. Yeah, I do.
I have to come to one of these classes because I always say, and I did take a class a while ago and I learned a little bit, but I haven't been, these are beautiful.
Yeah, this one has some ginger and cloves. And yeah, it's really fun and it's very easy. And you really can't hurt yourself making ferment. A lot of people are afraid to ferment at home because they think, oh my gosh, I don't want to kill someone. And never has that happened. But in the U.S. FDA records, I think it's Fred Bright. You can look up his quote. No one's ever gotten very dangerously sick from making ferments because they're natural, right? These microbes are naturally on the vegetables. Human beings have been fermenting vegetables to preserve them through different seasons for thousands of years. And our whole body just doesn't function unless we have a whole bunch of different microbes. And really, the health crises that we've got going on right now, which continue to ramp up, are really an expression of too few microbes in our bodies. We need lots and lots of diversity, and that's a great way to get them. And also, of course, again, I want to say start slow because you already have a full ecosystem in your body. And so these microbes are going to have to make room for these other ones. And you want that to be a peaceful process as well.
So I have to say, there's not a day that goes by, unless I'm on vacation, where now I just buy the refrigerator section. I think the brand that they have at the Whole Foods near me is called Hawthorne Valley, but they're delicious. I love the kimchi, the sauerkraut. There's so many different variations that's so good.
They're
pickles
so good.
And Bubby's pickles are like yummy. And so there's not a day that goes by. But recently I had COVID and I was craving. That's what I was craving. Like, get me more kimchi. I only wanted more, more of the fermented vegetables. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't have, at least a couple spoonfuls or forkfuls of it because it just feels so good. And I know how healthy it keeps me, but it's not a hard thing to do and you don't need a lot. That's what I love. So when you're telling people who are starting and if they're going to parties, what's your suggestion when to put these in? Is there a certain time or what do you think?
Yeah. Anytime really is fine. And as far as going to parties, the best thing you can do is bring a jar of ferments as a hostess gift or a host gift. Bring it with you to share because then it's there, right? Or if it's not that kind of party, have some before you go. Have some when you get home. Doesn't really matter because these microbes, they want to be part of your system. And whenever you eat a ferment, it's going to be helpful because you're also getting your whole body, your other microbes, your brain, is getting familiar with the presence of these helpful microbes. And so just like you described, Margie, you're going to surprise yourself and realize that you are craving this also. And one of my favorite things to do with kids and adults actually is train their body to fall in love with ferments and crave them. And all you have to do is eat a little bit every day for 2 weeks, even just a strand, and even you can just put it in your mouth and spit it out when you get started until you start feeling that like real craving, like, oh, I think I want to chew and eat this. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'll never like that, or oh, my kids will never like that. And you'll be surprised. Try it 14 days and you are going to want more. And every different ferment, every different season, every different vegetable, every different farm, they all have slightly different microbes. So the more you explore, the more you're doing for your gut.
Oh, I love this. And what have you seen since you've been working with this? And, you've been trained in this as well, how to do the ferments. What have you seen with when people introduce this piece?
Well, other than starting to really crave it, digestion settles down. People's digestion, their motility improves. They definitely have more of a resilience to not just healthier in general, which is really hard to track, but less food poisoning when they're traveling. Because these microbes, they crowd out and pretty much destroy the kinds of microbes like E. coli that we get too much of, that grow out of control. Because really, we've got populations, like I said, it's a contained system. And so you want more of the happy party guests. Like the people, when you have a potluck or a party, these are the party guests that show up with food to share, and they're kind of keeping track of like, oh, that person maybe needs someone to talk to, and they clean up at the end of the night. This is what you want at your party, right? You don't want to host a party and have a bunch of people show up, not bring anything, eat all the food, break your plates, leave a mess. Like that's like the opportunistic pathogens that give you like food poisoning, like E. coli, and they cause inflammation and they make you hungry for junk. That's the other good thing about this. It is, you will notice yourself more excited about eating vegetables when you eat more ferments and bring in these good gut bugs, because they are eating what's in the jar. That's how you're getting that sour flavor. It's because they're eating the cabbage or the cranberries or whatever you're fermenting, and they want more produce. They want more vegetable fibers. And they're communicating in many different ways to your consciousness, partly your brain, partly your mouth, just partly how your body feels. All of our systems are interconnected. And so I challenge you to try this out and notice what you're excited about eating.
Oh, I love that. Now, you mentioned this helps when you're traveling, but you obviously can't bring a refrigerator. You're not going to bring something that goes in the refrigerator. Is there anything you can bring?
Oh, that's such a great question. So you and I are part of a beautiful community of health professionals. And so at different conferences,
Yeah, we'll have it there, right?
Yeah, well, I'll be there, with people, and we'll open up our like little container of kraut or ferment or whatever it is. One way you can travel with it is by just draining the liquid from the container you're traveling with it in, so that it doesn't count as a liquid, and so then you can bring it on the plane with you. When you get to where you're going, ferments are getting really popular. It's people are becoming more and more aware of how important it is to nurture a healthy gut. And so most grocery stores will have bubbies or some other sort of fermented vegetable. Look in the refrigerated section of your grocery store. And we've got such great delivery. We can order Instacart or, and get things brought right to a hotel or a new residence. So
yeah. Okay, great. So I love this, and it's easy to do. And it really, I can't even think how many years I've been doing this, because it's just it's so easy. And as you said, you really do get addicted to it, that You
the
just feel
food.
good, and when you don't do it, I, like, miss it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
totally know the feeling.
but it
And
was just
you've
strange
got
when I was sick that that's what I was craving. I thought, "This is interesting," you know?
That's because your whole body knows, the microbes in your gut, your brain at some level knows, and probably a whole lot of other systems that we just don't understand enough about to be able to pinpoint that message system.
Yeah. Is there anyone that needs to be careful of the, fermented food?
Yes. So sometimes you might notice you have like get kind of itchy after eating a ferment, or maybe you get a little bit of a headache or a little tired. If you notice anything like this, then stop. And I would focus on taking a histamine modulating a kind of a supplement, which I'm sure you can get through Margie and her store. In
You wanna give an
order to,
example? Like, which
like,
ones?
so, and you can also use food. So so bacteria produce histamines, and histamines get broken down by bacteria. So in a jar of ferments, the bacteria are making histamines and they're breaking it down. But when we have imbalance in our gut already, which many of us do, then eating too much of a ferment might overwhelm our body with this little kind of chemical called histamine that can cause reactions. So we can take something called a DAO enzyme. A lot of people can take a supplement around that. And I'm not a medical provider. I'm not a doctor. So definitely check with your medical practitioner about any supplements or anything I'm mentioning. And so we know histamine is broken down by the DAO enzyme. So you could add that. You could add microbes, more probiotics that handle the histamines in that way. So you could add extras of those. You could also add something called quercetin, which is my favorite way to do it. It's a natural substance that is in some foods. Onions are super high in quercetin. Capers are super high in quercetin. So those are my number, and you can look up a list online. Those are my top two to bring in more quercetin in the food. And I love to make a like a little dip, which is also a nice thing to bring if you are going to a party. Just put in your food processor some walnuts, a whole jar of capers, so salty and tart, so good, and olive oil. Grind them all up into this lovely little pate, and you will be offsetting that histamine quality in ferments, especially if you are sensitive. So, try the ferment and see what happens, and then go from there. Another thing that I also really like, there are some other ways you can get, supplemental ways you can get histamine blockers and breakdowns with quercetin-oriented supplements. So a whole range of things. You'll probably notice one or the other really calls to you, so pay attention to that.
Okay, let's go to another tip for the holidays. So we're taking our sauerkraut and fermented
Okay.
vegetables. Okay, so we're,
Mhm.
we're good with that. So what else
Okay.
do you recommend?
Well, when we are, before we get, I want to talk about like when you're at the party, like what do you start with? If you can
Sure.
start with the vegetables, that's always kind of nice to kind of set the tone. Drinking lots of water, on your way into a party or before a party will be really helpful for a couple of reasons. Your gut bugs love hydration. They love, love, love hydration. And so does your actual gut and your whole body. And it'll fill you up a little bit. So you show up at the party and you have a little bit of thinking space. You're not super hungry already. Or you can maybe have a little vegetable, maybe that dip I just described. Maybe you have some vegetables and dip before you show up at the party, just things like that, little things. But onto a kind of a new topic, stress relief is going to be your best friend. So you, Margie, are so brilliant at so many of these techniques. I always start with, a few deep breaths, really belly breathing. I love different things like EFT tapping, or rapid eye technology. there are a lot of little tricks that you can bring in really easily before you go to a party, maybe after you go to a party. And you actually have even more that you shared in the summit many months ago now. So
Can you just share
ginseng.
the eye technique? Because that's not something anyone has ever talked about on the summit.
Oh yeah, sure. So this is something I learned. I worked with a mentor for 2.5 years actually during a period of my life, and this is a way to bring pretty much instant calm. Um, and it involves connecting the left and right sides of your brain. And definitely seek out someone who is truly a practitioner in rapid eye technology is the actual name. It's kind of similar to EMDR, and it doesn't go into specific events. It really just illuminates negative things can happen to us and releases them and fills in that space with positive energy. Really, really simple. One of my favorite things is techniques that can readjust you really quickly by connecting this is my left brain, is your detail kind of part of your brain, like keeping track of everything, the to-do list, did I get this right? Did I get all my email done? Paying attention to the road, keeping everyone safe. Like that's where most of us spend most of our time because that's our culture, right? But then the right side of our brain is actually much more expansive. It knows we're all safe. It knows everything is going to work out fine. It's like if this side of our brain is walking through the forest, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, trying to memorize how to get out again, then this side of our brain is like an eagle soaring really high above everything, can see the forest, where it ends, the mountains, the weather systems, can see everything is fine. So we want to reconnect these two parts of our brain because the detail-oriented part of our brain gets way too much playtime, and we forget that there's a connection that we can go to this more peaceful place. So by moving our eyes back and forth, we can actually build that road, make it wider, and make it more normal for us to take that calm perspective. So really, it's just a process of moving eyes, not the head, back and forth, and back and forth, back and forth, doing that for a while, squeezing them shut, opening, doing a cycle of some of this squeezing and opening, more back and forth, breathing in and out. I'm just giving you the quick version. And then you can move on. So it's a very simple technique and anyone can do it. And it invariably calms down that wound up state. You can probably hear my voice even describing it. Calms me down. There are a few other little techniques, but that's a really great thing to look into.
And do you need to tell yourself anything while you're doing it, or you just do it?
You don't have to tell yourself.
Just the way you went through it now. That's great.
Just the way I went through right now. And, tapping is similar. EFT, to jump back to EFT tapping, also so much available widely on the web to learn about EFT tapping. That's something that you can do without words, or you can use words to reinforce that calm around a specific thing, where you acknowledge what isn't comfortable for you, and then you express that everything is changing, that it's not forever, and then you express that you're doing great. With kids, you would say, you're a great kid. And with adults, you say, I'm a great mom, or I'm an incredible woman, or whatever, fits you. This is really handy if you've got little kids around, because you can actually just quietly, ask their permission if they're awake. And even if they're asleep, you can quietly go and find those points and tap them really gently and speak affirmations about they're going to be fine. You're so strong and powerful. And the final thing.
Wait, I want to say one thing about tapping. I love tapping, and it's something that I do it really helps me on the airplane. If there's bad turbulence, I
Ooh.
start doing my tapping, and like sometimes people will look at me and I say, "Oh, this is a great technique," and I explain what I do, and then they start doing it. But it's really so effective. It's helped so many people with anxiety and issues, and it's so easy. So yeah, I'm a very big
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah. And
Love-
if you want to do a little tapping and you want to speak a kind of an affirmation, you can just choose something to trade. Do you ever do that, Margie, where I trade in my fear for calm or something, and then you just repeat that on each of the tapping points, repeat it 3 times. If you want to add in some eye movement back and forth, you can really double down the calming.
Oh, I love that. No, I've never tried that, and I do my own speaking, but, yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
fantastic. But even if you do nothing, if you can't speak and you're just even doing the points, they're
Oh,
effective.
they're
So
very
it's
effective.
really a good point. Okay, great. So we have
Yeah.
now we're gonna
Yeah.
relax, we're gonna have our sauerkraut. Are there any other things that what about, that we can help us with the digestion? Anything else that you
Mm.
recommend?
Yeah. So when you're looking at foods to consider eating, there are definitely foods that can support your digestion more than others and support your whole health in general. Like when you're looking at a buffet table, um, look for the bright colors, the natural bright colors. Like, oh, is there like something with pomegranate? Is there a cranberry thing? Oh, look at those bright green broccoli florets. All of these things have these special plant chemicals that your different gut microbes love, and different gut microbes have different favorite foods. So the more diversity you're eating as far as those natural colors in plant foods, the more you're feeding a diversity, which is going to help every function in your body. So some people, when they have kind of an upset of the microbes in their belly, you might want to start slow with this. And some microbes they're just problematic no matter what. So notice what you're attracted to when you think, I'm going to eat some colors. I'm going to add some colors to my plate. Start with a little, notice what you're attracted to, and congratulate yourself. Like, you're feeding your gut microbes. That is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Oh, that's great. That's very helpful. What
What else?
about yeah. And so what about, a lot of people think or they're told fiber, fiber, fiber. I just need more fiber. But for everybody, that's not really the case. You want
It
to,
is, you're right. It is different. And so when you are, some people get distress in their belly when they eat fiber, no matter what they do. And that really is an expression of the microbes in their belly. The microbes in their belly, what they have most of, don't like vegetables. And so if you consider what we've been talking about today, that should make you go, something's wrong here, because most of our healthy, happy gut bugs, like, they want the vegetables. So you will want to, if you've got that going on, you'll want to just take care and eat what doesn't upset your belly. Don't worry about it. Find a practitioner who can help you change what is in your gut with gentle techniques. Maybe get some testing to find out what's in there, and really start learning about what kinds of microbes are known to gently eradicate the infectious microbes. Like in the case of small intestine bacterial overgrowth, small intestine fungal overgrowth, which is rampant. There are, in SIBO, there's a class of microbe called archaea, which cause constipation no matter what you eat. So you'll want to find someone who really specializes in that and can help you eliminate it safely. The other thing when we're talking about small intestinal overgrowths to keep in mind is when we are not eliminating every day, at least once a day, quick, easy, painless, comfortable, then it's a sign that we've got some things backing up. we can get backed up all the way to the point where the microbes that belong in our lower digestion end up in our small intestine. And that is extremely disruptive for nutrient absorption, for comfort, for all kinds of things. So it's really an important thing to focus on your elimination as well as your digestion.
Wait, before you go on, what
Yeah.
symptoms will someone have if that's
Mm.
happening?
When they eat fiber, they get bloated and pain right away. Let's see, maybe they have like all of those gut related, like itchy skin, exhaustion. Oh my gosh. So pretty much anything
Okay.
can be really related to like brain fog, forgetting things, headaches, all kinds of
Right.
reactions.
So that's the key is it's not okay. And I see this a lot. People think, oh, I go every 2 days. That is absolutely
No,
not okay. And
no, no,
it's,
no, no, no.
this is your whole health. It changed dramatically once you address the constipation.
Yeah.
You're the queen of that. You've you had a whole summit on it. You teach a whole course on the constipation.
Yeah. And this relaxation, like feeling the kind of the theme of what we're talking about for the holidays here is really important, because when we're tight in our thinking, we get tight in our body. It ripples through our whole body, and it shuts down the blood flow to our gut. And when our gut doesn't have enough blood flow, it can't do its normal muscle motility. It can't do its normal absorption of nutrients. And so that's going to slow us down more. So these relaxation and enjoyment is really so important. The other reason you really want to pay attention to this is because when we're stressed, our stomach, gastric juices, our stomach can't produce gastric juices, the acid and the enzymes, as well as it normally would. And so then right from the top, we can't break down our food, which causes inflammation in our gut and causes constipation. But also, we're not able to operate our defenses in our stomach. All that acid and enzymes is supposed to kill the invaders that make us sick. And when we're going to parties and eating more sugar, more sugar is hard on our immune system. But we want our defense in our stomach to be really strong. And so that means really relaxing, enjoying what we can, enjoying the people, picking out the people that we enjoy most to really fill up our calm and delight, so that we have more resilient for the things that are more challenging. What else? I know you are.
Yeah, but one
so
more
good
thing.
at
No,
all of
no, I don't want to give people too many things. These are I think if people do the ferment, they relax, it's going to make such a difference in a lot of the other things that you've shown us. But I know that you also use apple cider vinegar as one of the, you want to just share, because that's something easy that people can
Absolutely.
add to
Apple
their
cider
life.
vinegar and ferments. So ferments and apple cider, fermented vegetables, raw fermented vegetables, and apple cider vinegar are acidic. And so we can add in extra acid to boost our stomach acid and that digestive quality and the defensive quality, just by adding it in our diet. So a salad that has a vinegar-based dressing, adding a little ferment to the side of your plate. What else? Where else do you use apple cider vinegar? We have a cider vinegar dressing on our salads pretty much every night. Oh, bitter greens. Have an apple cider vinegar dressing on your bitter green salad, like arugula or radicchio. Again, those bright colors are going to be really supportive.
Yeah, no, I found in this community, stomach acid's a really big issue. So that's just one of the ways we can use lemon. We can put apple cider vinegar a little bit in the water. So yeah, all that is just so good. So the last thing I just want you to tell people about, because this has been so helpful, and all these points, because you can prevent things. That's what I love. But you want to just share about, because if people do have constipation, you actually have a really great course, and so just share with us what you've done and to help people with this, because it is miserable. And especially if people are traveling during the holidays, or no one wants to live like this, and you don't have to. And you don't want to live on Miralax, and you don't want to live on these medications. There's
Yeah.
other ways. So you want to just share
Yeah.
about what you've done with constipation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did. I went really deep in constipation because I realized so many people were struggling with it. And so I created an online class, and it gives you an idea of why it's so important to be eliminating easily every day, because constipation is connected to so many health issues. Um, in fact, there is an article in the journal Atherosclerosis from 2019, which links constipation to stroke and heart disease and all-cause mortality. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I describe a little bit of that. We go through digestion super, super simple, easy way with pictures so that you know what's going on and how different organs are connected to your digestion. So there are lots of things you can do, to support your thyroid. That's going to help your digestion. And then we go into super mini little video classes with 25 different really quick and easy ways to get your digestion moving, including a pretty much fail-proof, super simple emergency supplement situation using water, magnesium, a stool at your toilet, just really basic things, but people don't talk about it enough, and you get to figure out exactly what works best for you, and it's so easy. We talk about a few lifestyle things too, but that's really at the tail end, because what I want to give people is immediate, easy support, and that's what the course is all about.
Yeah, I love that. And so it's very reasonable. I mean, a lot of people can't afford a lot of these serious gut
Yeah.
programs, but you want to just share you're doing something nice for this community?
Oh, yeah. So I do have a special going on, a special price going on, but I offered for you all in Margie's community. Margie is such a dear friend of mine. 60% off the sale price. So definitely check it out while that's still available.
Right. So it only comes to, because
it's only $60 after you take off these 2 discounts.
Yeah, it's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And you get 2 live coaching sessions with me. Just for a little time, I decided I would offer some group coaching sessions to help people so that they really know how to use the course best for them if they have any questions. And so they're not recorded. I don't send out recordings or anything. It's available if you want to show up 1 or 2 times for a little support.
That's great. And then you're also going to tell about the summit.
Oh, yeah. So I did have this special thing Margie and I talked about. Margie offered so many amazing tips in the New Science of Healthy Elimination Summit that I did. And so if you get the course and you want Margie's interview, just email me and I'll send it to you for free. So that's really super special for Margie.
Well, it's funny because Elissa asked, it was a different talk than I normally do. And Elissa asked me, as a physical therapist, what would you do in terms of constipation? And so there's a lot of things I do. It's not something that I teach all the time, but I went through Jin Shin Jitsu. I went through actual exercises to get the motility moving. Then I did some Qigong. I went through different, I really I figured, what should I say? So I must have put down a lot of little quick tips and quick exercises that I show you that you can do. So it was fun.
Star. You were the star interview fan favorite. You were amazing, and I would love to share that with everyone watching.
So if they do sign up, they'll have your email. Then they should just email you for that.
Just hit reply when you get the access to the course. You can hit reply, and that email will get to me, and just say, "Send me Margie's interview."
So they need to put in Happy Bones. Is that what they have to do to get this for $60?
To get the special discount, for $60, put in Happy Bone in the coupon code.
Happy Bones with the S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Happy Bones. And when you get your course confirmation and access, just hit reply and ask for Margie's interview.
Okay. And there's one more thing before you end, because I always want to give people that people are sitting here, for those, just two things you said, the magnesium, which is my
Mhm.
go-to. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
magnesium is so critical, and so many
Yeah.
people have been able to get off of medication just from
Oh,
magnesium,
that's so important.
right?
Yeah.
So magnesium is really critical. And is
Uh-huh.
there a certain magnesium you like for people with constipation? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah. I love magnesium bisglycinate because the bisglycinate form is the most absorbable by our bodies. And so you're going to get the most calming effects, and then you're going to get the constipation relief. So that is so, so super important. You can get it in a loose powder form. Oftentimes it has a little bit of citrate in it, and some people don't like citrate. So you can also find pill forms of magnesium glycinate.
But the
Yeah,
citrate,
so
if someone's constipated, the citrate also really helps too.
the
Yeah.
citrate is like a magnesium calm, capital C, capital A, capital L, capital M. You can find in most grocery stores or drugstores. And so that's really accessible if you want to just run out and get some right now. That's going to also help you sleep in the evening. It's calming, and it's going to give you that wonderful releasing effect.
Yeah, the calm magnesium, I have to say, I mean, so many people have been helped by that. And
Yeah.
as you said, now it used to not be in all the grocery stores, but I guess people realized how helpful it was. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how much safer it is. A lot of the medications and even some of the heavy duty herbals can be really addictive. And the medications certainly can have some challenging effects on our gut microbes and the actual terrain, the physical terrain in our gut. So it's really important to consider more natural alternatives and see what works best for you.
Okay, so that's the magnesium. And then just talk about the stool, because that's something everybody can do. You don't
Oh,
have to
yeah,
buy a squatty potty or anything. You can just do it with the stool. So just explain that for a minute, because that's something
absolutely.
people could use right away.
Yeah. So if and you can get a stool, or you can even like find a substitute for the stool. So when our bodies are walking around, sitting down, we have something called the pubirectalis muscle, which is like a trap door that kind of that will hold the rectum shut so that you don't have any surprises. And what a great natural system, right? Our bodies are so brilliant. But then when we fold up our hips, knees up in a squatting position, that actually releases the pubirectalis muscle and allows the rectum to be fully open. So when we're sitting on a toilet, we're not actually opening it all the way. So if you get your feet up on a stool, get that nice deep crease in your hip, you're actually opening up your elimination system so it can be effortless. And eliminating should be as fast as urinating. That or could be. That is the natural state, as quick as urinating, comfortable, complete. And that's pretty rare right now. So I definitely love using a system of adding magnesium, using a toilet stool, and then magnesium in the evening, a toilet stool in front of your toilet to get that nice deep bend in your hips. And then you can even leverage the power of simply hydrating. Hydrate a lot first thing in the morning. I drink 2 huge glasses of water first thing in the morning. And what that does is it really supports flushing out your whole system. And in traditional Chinese medicine, this early morning is your gut time. It's your cleansing your colon time. Your whole body is already oriented toward flushing out your gut. Why not help it along with some water, which also triggers that gastrocolic reflux, that belly fills your belly and then triggers, oh, it's time to release to make more room.
Well, I love this. This has been so, so, so helpful, and it will really make a difference, everybody. We're not just discussing this because we want to, but because truly these little steps are so very powerful. Is there anything else you want to share? I think or any last minute things you want to say to everybody?
Well, I really hope that this helps everyone listening feel so much more comfortable in their bodies and feel so much more free to really relax and enjoy the holiday season and the food. And yeah, I just really want to help.
Oh, that's
Enjoy
so
your
great. So we'll
holidays.
we'll have the links. Is there and what's the best way for people to follow you or get in touch with you besides the link we'll have for your class?
My website is coachalissa.com. And you can always find me by hitting reply to any of my emails.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
And
you for having me,
I
Margie.
love these tips and I love Alyssa and I met, oh gosh, how many years ago we met and we like instantly,
2017.
is that what it was? We
Yeah.
instantly, I don't know what it was. It was like an attraction, we just instantly became friends and we have been ever since. And so
Yes.
I just love the work you do and really appreciate you sharing this with everyone today. So thank you so much. And yeah, thanks. And hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
The feeling is mutual, Margie. You too. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Alyssa as much as I did, and now have some new tips you can put into your life so that you maintain a healthy gut throughout the holidays and beyond. Because a healthy gut's important for healthy bones, which are important for a healthy life. So it all goes together. All the links that Alyssa talked about will be in the show notes, including the link to her course on constipation, which is only $60 if you use the coupon code Happy Bones. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.